There's no mistaking Mount Kilimanjaro. It is a huge mountain that is an extinct volcano that's not part of a mountain range, and it just rises out of nothing. We enjoyed a couple days in Moshi, but we were all, I think, kind of chomping at the bit to begin our journey up the mountain. That meant getting all of our bags together and riding in some big army-like trucks to get to the point where we had the check-in, and then of course the bags have to be weighed and we have to get the porters and we have to go through paperwork and basically sign our lives away, and then we get back in the truck.
Should have been a ride-it eventually. I mean, you're going through these mud holes. It was bumpy.
Okay, hands up! Whoa!
Bumpy doesn't even come close to describing it. And it definitely made some people really nervous.
It becomes absolutely impassable, and that is the beginning of the climb.
We didn't hike very far. We just hiked the trailhead, kind of settled into that first camp. It was kind of really the first night for some of the people on the trail to do any kind of camping.
The group of cancer survivors that joined us on the trip to Kilimanjaro are amazing. None of them were mountain climbers. None of them were on this journey because they've always wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Never climbed a mountain in my life, maybe climbed some hills, but never a mountain.
I've never, ever, ever considered climbing a mountain like that.
They were on this journey because they wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves. They wanted to challenge themselves, and they wanted to do it with a group.
The first step on the trail, it was like, my God, I'm really in the African jungle. With short legs, you know, I can only lift my knees so high. And it became a joke that whoever was behind Bev had Bev's butt duty, because every so often I needed a little boost to get my body up over the rocks.
I couldn't have asked to have gone on this trip with a better group of people. Been through chemo, we've all been through those treatments and know how difficult it is and what each one of us had been through.
Every year around the globe, millions of people's lives are affected by cancer, but we knew we could only take a small number of people to Mount Kilimanjaro. And so we decided to start a prayer flag project, where we invited people to create memorials and tributes to people whose lives had been touched by cancer. The flags were designed and created by women back in Iowa, and then distributed to be decorated by people across the United States.
Our dad, he was our hero, and losing him, we pretty much lost everything when we lost him. So to be able to come here and hear everyone else's stories is really inspiring, and we needed this today.
We are climbing Africa's tallest mountain, but that is not the whole story. In fact, there is no one story in all of this. And it's more than a group of people, a series of days, an endless collection of photos. The pieces that make up our true tale are sometimes so tiny they can slip past the senses without being captured.
That ain't no hernia.
And so,
The group were accepting of each other immediately. There was a common bond, which is unfortunate. Cancer it's not a death sentence, but hearing those words, your life changes forever. $19,341 feet is just not what I was thinking I was going to be doing. We started in the jungle, and then it changed to more shrubs and more rock, a lot of steep climbs and going down and steep and steep and steep. And I was thinking on that second day, man, 6 more days of this. I had a moment where I just had to make up my mind, and this is how it's going to be. Well, okay, cool. So then we just hiked and hiked and hiked.
We will be with thee. We're survivors. We're survivors. We're survivors above and beyond cancer.
The cancer survivors that come on these journeys come on the journeys not because they've always wanted to climb mountains. They come on these journeys because they've gained a lot of courage and confidence through their cancer journey. And they are willing to reach for something that may be just beyond the grasp of what they know they can accomplish. We had represented in our group breast cancer survivors, prostate cancer survivors, leukemia, lymphoma, Hodgkin's disease, thyroid cancer, salivary gland cancer. Some cured of their cancer, some with active cancer still undergoing cancer treatment.
After a couple of days, the expedition had gotten very difficult, and unfortunately I knew that it was going to get much harder.
Oh, wow. You think it was going to be this tough? No.
The beginning of that struggle was something called the Barranco Wall. It's an 800-foot wall of volcanic rock that we would have to scramble up with our hands and our feet.
We came into a camp called the Barranco Camp, and then the next morning I look up and see the Barranco Wall.
A little nervous right now, a little freaked out.
I kind of have a fear of heights. I'm thinking, oh my God, we've got to climb up that.
That day was a lot of fun for me.
We're ready to go.
Heading over to the Barranco Wall, there was like this little stream that we crossed over, and it was really calm and peaceful. On the other side of that stream, you look up and there's just this great towering wall.
It almost looked like you were going straight up.
It's the type of climbing that we would call scrambling. So it doesn't require ropes, it doesn't require protection.
It was tough for a lot of people because it was steeper.
My hands are starting to sweat, I'm nervous. I had to keep moving, so I went and hold up people that were coming behind me. Charlie was great. He just kept really encouraging me, saying that, you can do this. There was a couple of times where he kind of just reached down, grabbed my backpack or grabbed the back of my pants and kind of yanked me up the wall.
Everybody's got one more step, and all we have to do is one more step. 1,000,000 more times, and we've got it knocked off.
Let me have your backpack.
All right, man, here we go.
Cancer has been such a negative in my life for a long time. I've lost my grandfather to cancer. I lost my father to cancer. My mom was a breast cancer survivor, and then I've also survived Hodgkin's lymphoma. I wanted to turn something that had been so negative in my life into something positive. This was my opportunity.
Anybody who's heard me talk knows about Chris. Chris was a patient of mine who I met when he was 20, and he died as a college student at Grinnell of a malignancy. And it was out of Chris's memory that the prayer flag project really got started. And this was Chris's prayer flag that his dad wrote. My dearest Chris, I remember your childhood so vividly as you delved into the world with curiosity and gusto.
You were interested in everything, weren't content to know just a little, and asked a million probing questions each day.
You pushed yourself and those you touched to learn new things, master new talents, and to live with passion.
By what grace I had a son like you, I can never know, but for it I will be eternally grateful. My prayer for you is that your soul continues to soar as it did in life.
Is that your soul continues to soar as it did in life.
For myself, I pray that someday I may be half the man that you were, with endless love and admiration. Dad.
So Chris soared on Everest, and he's going to soar on Kilimanjaro, and he's going to soar with everybody you're carrying with you.
I'm Carrie Brenner, and I'm carrying this flag to the top for my father-in-law. He passed away from colon cancer in 2003, so I'm honored to take this to the top in memory of him.
The Smiths are survivors, so I wish I could string them up so you could see them all side by side, but I love them very much.
We left camp and the climb started out hard.
At this point, we'd been on the trail for more than 6 days and reached an elevation of over 16,000 feet. So at this extreme elevation, there's about half the amount of oxygen that we have at sea level. So with every step, the desire to quit becomes almost impossible to overcome.
It's kind of a marathon.
I remember looking up and thinking, you know, well, there's the top. And then you would get to that place, and then there would be another 500 yards that you would have to go. And you kept thinking it's never going to end.
You're doing awesome. Awesome.
I didn't think that I'd be as challenged as I was. I didn't think my dad would be as challenged as he was.
And he was exhausted, and he was also having a lot of nausea.
If I could have carried him, I would have.
Jed would say, step, he'd hold. Step.
Step. Step. Step. Step.
Step. And you think to yourself, how are you ever going to climb this mountain this slowly? Kilimanjaro, I basically know what came at the end, and that was the summit and the climb down. With my present prostate cancer, I don't know for sure what the outcome's going to be. And so there's still that doubt, but the thing that I've learned is that I just have to move forward.
It just kept going, and then finally, after, I don't know, 6-8 hours, you finally could sense the rim of this volcano.
What I'm about to show you
I hope should inspire everybody to be that person. We were able to rest a little, and then we had to walk across the crater, and I thought because we were so close and it wasn't uphill that it was going to be easier.
I sat in the snow and I cried and I said, "Save yourselves, leave me here to die."
Brandon Sickler stripped all his packs off, picked Bev up.
And he puts me on his back. And I remember kicking and screaming like a little kid having a temper tantrum. The next thing I know, there were two arms under me. My legs were like rubber, and they must have dragged him into camp.
It was really tough. And as I got to the top, I was kind of semi-delirious.
He's hallucinating.
Who am I?
Good. All right, Charlie, Jack, somebody.
All I can say is it was harder than finding out I had cancer, going through my cancer surgeries and my treatment. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I would do it again.
Very tough day. Very tough day. I remember the first American Cancer Society banner on the ground. It immediately got me emotional, and I was tearing and crying, and then I saw the luminarias.
It's just breathtaking. I mean, you couldn't help but stand there and cry, bringing the spirits, the memory, and the honor of all these cancer survivors to the top of Kili.
After I got sick and they were getting ready to walk around Hope that they had spelled out with the luminaries, I'm like, I don't care that I'm feeling the altitude sickness. I'm like, this is what we came up here to do.
Not forget those who have lost their battle to this disease, nor will we forget the story these bags symbolize. We know that our reasons to relay light up tracks all around the world, with survivors, caregivers, and participants alike joining the fight to find a cure and save lives.
And then I remember us all coming together, and then all of a sudden Amazing Grace came out, and that was just unbelievably beautiful.
And we got through the night, and like every morning, the sun comes up, and it just warms us. We were at 19,000 feet, and we carried out the world's highest relay for life. We had brought with us about 800 prayer flags. Each prayer flag had the story of someone who was affected by cancer. I would say half of them represented lives that were lost to cancer, and half were cancer survivors who were still going through their journey.
It was just unbelievable. It brought tears to your eyes.
It was pretty spectacular to come out and see those flags flying in the wind.
The first lap of our Relay for Life was Celebrate, and that was the survivors. 17 cancer survivors at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, circling the word hope in the snow. The second lap was for the caregivers, and that included all of us, including our porters that had been with us on our journey up the mountain. The third lap was Remember, and the third lap was done silently in memory of those that had lost their life to cancer. And then the fourth lap that we did that day was Fight Back. It's recognizing that those who have died will not have died in vain, and that the memory of those that have lost their life will inspire and in fact demand of us that we do what we can in our lifetime to help find a cure for cancer, to make a world with less cancer.
It was worth all the effort and worth overcoming all my fears to be at that summit looking at the glaciers. I mean, it was an amazing view.
It's obvious to me that none of us have a clue what we truly can accomplish in life. And it's only by putting these challenges in front of ourselves that we have any idea of what we're able to accomplish. All you have to do is be willing to reach for something as beyond what you can knowingly grasp, that you can accomplish just amazing things.
When you come down from the mountain, you see your life in a totally new way. And oftentimes what you realize is that your life is filled with all of these things that you had been taking for granted. And you really just don't want to do that anymore. And so what our team decided to do with the gift of that new perspective was to continue to work together, as they've done on the mountain, to create a world with less cancer.
We can harness that passion and compassion to help inspire others to work on some of our shared goals by participating in advocacy, by going to the state capitals and Congress and advocating for better laws to help provide access to health care and more funding. And if our group of cancer survivors can instill that sort of motivation and hope and inspiration in others, we've done a lot to accomplish our goal.
We will walk, we will talk about the things that we know, our relationships, we will be with thee. We're survivors, we're survivors, we're survivors above and beyond.